Hello, Mike. Good evening. I have the
Good
honor
evening.
to have Mike Mandl here with me, and I'm very happy that we can speak about a very important topic, which is the topic of the Congress that will take place in Budapest in June, so in 2 months' time. And the topic of the Congress is let's get back to the roots of Shiatsu, the Japanese sources. And actually, the reason why I'm talking to Mike is that I came across an article of his and also an interview that one of my colleagues did with you, Mike. So I think it's a very important, very nice synchronicity here. So we have an idea in Hungary, you have an idea, you have a very similar idea in Vienna. So maybe it's a good time and a good opportunity to kind of talk about this topic and join forces in one way or another. So the question I would like to discuss with you, and I would like to hear your opinion, is why do you think it's important to, from time to time, reach back to the Japanese sources of Shiatsu? So what's your take on that?
First of all, thanks a lot for the invitation and thumbs up for doing the work and the Congress. I think it's a very important topic. So my journey in Shiatsu started 30 years ago, and the longer I do Shiatsu, the more I become a traditionalist. So why? I think especially in Shiatsu, we should honor the tradition and we should look back where the whole system developed and started. So why? You know, Shiatsu is a wonderful method, but it's a young method compared to other Asian body-mind systems. And Shiatsu grew very quickly. So when it spread to the Western world, you know, it grew very quickly. Suddenly there were many Shiatsu schools and there were many Shiatsu teachers. So right now we have a lot of variations of Shiatsu. In my personal opinion, we have too many variations. So why? I think the Asian body-mind systems, they have a lot of treasures for us to offer if we dive deep into them. But unfortunately, as Shiatsu grew very quickly, not many people took the time to study in Asia or had a very close contact with one of the masters or schools or lineages. So basically, in Shiatsu, it started very early to interpret the system of Shiatsu. There were very early personal interpretations. And then those people opened up schools and they educated students. And those students, again, they made their own school. And then you have their interpretation of the roots. And it kept on going because Shiatsu developed very fast. So right now we have a situation, I can only speak of Europe, but maybe also in the US and in Canada, where we have so many variations of Shiatsu that it's very hard to compare the styles. And also it's very hard to see what they still have in common. But I think it's important for a body-mind healing system to at least have some fundamental principles which are the basis of the whole system. But nowadays it's hard to find those principles. So I think it's worth to look back and to work with people who started more in the lineage of a tradition, to get in touch with the basic principles, or to look for the basic principles which can be the foundation of Shiatsu. So one of my pictures is always like this, you know, it's a system. Every system needs their roots and every system needs a stem. And then it's okay to have a lot of branches. But the development of Shiatsu was like this, as it's a young method, and the roots were not cultivated fully. So in my opinion, even the original systems of Shiatsu, there were no complete system. They were very well developed, but still it was not a really complete system. So the roots were not developed as fully as they can. And then the stem grew extremely quickly and it reached up to the sky. And then you had like thousands of branches going off this shiatsu tree and many blossoms. but the stem is not as strong, and the roots are also not very strong. And now with all the branches, the branches are breaking off. And some styles in Shiatsu, in my personal opinion, they don't have to do a lot anymore with the traditional Japanese bodywork. So it's great that you bring together those three masters in Budapest. It's really great so that people can see them and get an impression of how it is to work in a lineage or in a way to see where the tradition comes from.
Yeah, thank you for your opinion. It was so lots of things have come to my mind actually. I've spoken to all three sensei, all three masters. I made some short videos with them, and they. Each of them talked about something different, but also fundamentally something very similar. For example, Cvika Kalisar talked about the interpretations of interpretations of interpretations, and he said that in the video that, it's better to have to immerse yourself in any traditional style, learn the method for a long time, deep dive into the method, and then you can go different ways. Right, so something similar to what you just said. Thierry Kamaji sensei, the Iokai Shiatsu sensei, talked about the fundamental concepts that we somehow have in Hungary and also in European Shiatsu styles, like doin, ankyo, teate, these Japanese concepts. But he made it very, very clear that it's really important to really understand what these terms mean and what they meant to Japanese people. And also Roberto Taverna sensei, the Namikoshi teacher, talked about exactly just what you said, like, and this is a very important message for me, that he said that, Namikoshi sensei developed a refined method with very, very important rules for how you hold yourself as a practitioner, how you hold your thumbs, how deep you go, and all this stuff, and a map of points, everything. And why don't you, it's a refined method. So why don't you study it, and then you can go into meridian work, energy work, and whatever you need to do. So I think all these opinions, all these ideas really converge into something important, some kind of an essence that we seek here, right?
So yes, you're absolutely right, and I think it's good to look at the Asian body-mind system from the bird's perspective, and there are certain principles. So one principle is, every style has its own principles. So you could say those are the causation chains with which a style works. So it makes sense that you build in those principles into your body. You could say it's very important, whatever style you do, I don't care. But if you choose a style, you have to stick to a style, I think at least 7 years. So it's like, the old Chinese sayings, like if you visit a master and you want to learn the style, you have to sweep the floor for 7 years.
Exactly.
That's a reason, because this is a Qing cycle where, all the cells in your body renew themselves. So you have a different situation after 7 years. But if you stick to one method for 7 years, the principles are built into your body. So you have a basement in your body. And this also goes along with the saying, you have to sweep the floor, before you learn any complex technique. What is meant with sweeping the floor? It's you have to do the foundations over and over again, the basic principles, the foundations. So till they are built in your body. And then you have the basement. And if the basement is strong, then you can build the first floor, the second floor. That's fine. But I think that's also a problem in Shiatsu. So most of the trainings are 2 years to 3 years. So I think it's quite a short time to really go deep into one style. So many people, they learn 2 or 3 years, then they do their practice, and then they open up a school. But 3 years is definitely not enough to build the principles into your body. So there is something missing. But then people start working, and in the work, then they get results or something is happening. but between what is happening and what is built inside their body, there is a gap. There is no explanation for this causation chain, why these things are happening. And there's a gap. And what happens then? People try to fill the gap. And this is what exactly happened when the evolution of Shiatsu came to Europe. There were explanation gaps, there were energetic gaps, there were like principle gaps. So many teachers of the early phases of Shiatsu in Europe, they tried to fill those gaps with other methods. Then, osteopathy comes in, which I think is very funny because traditional Shiatsu style offers a lot of osteopathic and chiropractic techniques. But then osteopathy came in, and the psychotherapy came in, and and the language came in, and Reiki came in. So, but just it's normal. So it's no critic from my side, but you have to fill the gaps in order to create some kind of understanding. But with the time, like the methods that came into the Shiatsu to fill the gaps, but there was no connection, from the roots, from the basic principle to what's happening. And we filled the gap with a lot of Western methods and ideas and concepts, which is not bad, but so after 30 years now, I came back to study yin and yang. And so my main study now is yin and yang after 30 years, because I still have the feeling I can learn so much about yin and yang. And I think I will keep on going with yin and yang for the next 10 years. Because I think a good system should be based in timeless principles and in universal truth. I know this sounds funny, universal truth, but I think yin and yang is kind of a universal principle, and it's a basic truth. You can find it everywhere, from the expansion of the cosmos till the movement of the cells. So this is one principle that is so fundamental for our life and for our understanding of our method. So instead of talking about evolution and bringing other things into a Shiatsu, like spooky techniques and advanced psychotherapy methods, I think it makes much more sense to pick up the basic principles. For example, take yin and yang, or just take ki as an example. Mm-hmm. We have so I can see in Shiatsu it's not popular to talk about a ki. It's kind of a mystic subject, and no one dares to touch ki or talk about a ki or explain a ki. And I think this is strange. So if we want an evolution of the method, a real evolution, I think we should go back, look for the basic integrants which make up a Shiatsu, and then just really go deep into this basic principles. For me, that would be a real evolution of a Shiatsu, because complete Asian body-mind systems, basically, it's the complete package. You can learn a healing art, but you can use it also for personal development, and you can use it for spiritual cultivation as well. So if we have blank spots, I think it would be cool to go back and maybe not, as Shiatsu is quite a young method, maybe we should look for other Japanese or maybe Chinese principles of philosophies to add the gap. But to make an Asian complete system and not a mixture. Right. Right. You don't get the best fighter if you learn one punch from karate, one move from kung fu, one
from here, one from there. It's very interesting, I also experienced in my life that I've been so attracted by all kinds of bodywork methods, like let it be osteopathy or craniosacral therapy, Thai massage, this and that. And it's very interesting to just get a glance of different techniques. And yeah, you can learn a technique. It's so funny. It's very nice. You can apply it, and this is a kind of Western way of learning, right? So let's look at that. Let's look at this. Let's try this technique out. Let's try another technique out. Whereas, as you mentioned, the Asian way is something totally different. Like you deep dive into a set of principles. You elaborate on them, you practice them over and over again until you feel you get a hold of it, and then you can let go of it finally. So it's a very different approach, I guess, that we are not really used to, I guess, here in Europe, in Hungary, wherever. Yeah.
No, but I think that's one of the biggest treasures Asian systems can offer to us. And there's a very famous quote of Bruce Lee. I don't know if I get it right now, but Bruce Lee said, "I'm not afraid of the guy who is able to do 1,000 punches. I'm afraid of the guy who practiced one punch 1,000 times." So
yes,
I think
exactly.
it's what you said, and you have to do the basic routines over and over, and maybe just one touch 1,000 times, but not 1,000 different touches, because through sticking to the basic routines with the time, the doors will open. You could say in the internal systems. So after 7 to 10 years, the magic of key kicks in, but it just kicks in, if you dig on one spot. If you make one hole, you can go deep. And if you go deep, you will come to the treasure. If you dig 10 holes in your garden and just half a meter, you never go, go deep. Yeah. And I understand it because, in Western, or I would not say in the Western world, that's not fair, because, but the intellectual mind always needs, like the monkey mind, it always needs a distraction and new adventures. But this is an approach that just feeds the mind. If we want to feed the soul, we should make the things much more simpler. And if we want to feed the spirit, we have to become still. What does this mean? Becoming still. Do the simple things, but do them as good as possible. So, and that's the reason why I think it's good to go back and look what the tradition of Shiatsu has to offer. So it's a great topic you choose. Really, it's a very great topic in these times.
Well, I hope that it will be interesting for many people. So let's hope for the best. Mike, thank you so much for your time and for your words and for your support. So we're gonna have this congress, and we will continue this conversation, I guess, in the future, because we need to talk about this. We need to continue this conversation, I guess, for the whole Shiatsu community of Europe, I guess.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you for your time, really, and for your support.
Thank you too. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too.